Greetings and welcome to this video on JavaScript interview questions and answers. My name is Michelle AI, and our focus today is on JavaScript Arrow Functions, a topic frequently discussed in front-end interviews. As we explore this subject, you will not only deepen your understanding of JavaScript, but also refine your skills for your next JavaScript interview. During the video, we'll pose a question for you to answer, followed by the correct response. We will give you 15 seconds to answer each question. Optionally, you can pause the video if you need more time. Although we will be focusing on interview responses, it's essential to be familiar with the technical aspect of each topic. You can find detailed technical responses under the Arrow Functions category on our website at hellojavascript.info. So, let's get started with the first question. What is the definition of an arrow function? Here is the interview response. An arrow function is a concise syntax for defining anonymous functions in JavaScript using the arrow notation. It offers shorter syntax, lexical scoping of this, and can't be used as a constructor. Let's move on to the next question. How do arrow functions differ from function expressions? Here is the correct answer to this question. Arrow functions have a shorter syntax and a lexical disbinding, whereas function expressions can be named, offer more flexibility with this, and allow for more complex logic in the function body. Let's look at the next question. If there are no arguments in an arrow function, do you need to add the parentheses in the function signature? This is the correct way to answer this question. Yes, if an arrow function has no arguments, you need to include empty parentheses in the function signature to indicate the absence of parameters. This syntax is required for proper arrow function definition. Otherwise, it will throw a syntax error. Now for the next question. What is the difference between a regular function and an arrow function? Here is the correct answer to this question. The key difference between regular and arrow functions in JavaScript is that arrow functions have a concise syntax and do not bind their own this context, while regular functions do. Now for the next question. What is the difference between a single and multi-line statement in an arrow function? This is the correct way to answer this question. In an arrow function, a single-line statement is implicitly returned while a multi-line statement requires an explicit return statement. Let's look at the next question. What are the advantages of using arrow functions? Here is the response to this interview question. Arrow functions offer concise syntax, automatic this binding, implicit returns for single expression bodies, and improved readability. They are well suited for short, functional, stateless operations, and can lead to cleaner, more maintainable code. Now for the next question. How is the this keyword treated in arrow functions? Here is the response to this interview question. In arrow functions, the this keyword is lexically bound to the surrounding scope, rather than having its own this value. Let's move on to the next question. What does lexical this binding mean in arrow functions? Here is the correct answer to this question. Lexical this binding in arrow functions means they don't create their own this context. Instead, they inherit this from their surrounding, enclosing scope, reducing common this related issues. Let's look at the next question. How does this binding differ in arrow functions? Here is the correct answer to this question. Arrow functions bind the this keyword lexically to the context where they are defined, instead of dynamically like regular functions. Let's move on to the next question. Can you pass default parameters to an arrow function? The correct interview response is yes, you can use the same syntax as regular functions to pass default parameters to an arrow function. Let's look at the next question. Can arrow functions be used as constructors? The correct interview response is no, arrow functions cannot be used as constructors because they don't have their own this value. Let's move on to the next question. Can arrow functions use REST parameters? Here is the correct response to this interview question. Yes, in JavaScript, arrow functions can use REST parameters. REST parameters are denoted with 3 dots before the parameter name and gather the remaining arguments into an array, allowing for a more flexible function. Let's look at the next question. What is an implicit return in arrow functions? This is the correct way to answer this question. An implicit return in an arrow function occurs when the function consists of a single expression without curly braces, automatically returning the expression's result without needing a return statement. Let's look at the next question. How do you create a higher order function using arrow functions? This is the correct way to answer this question. To create a higher-order function using arrow functions, simply define an arrow function that accepts another arrow function as a parameter or returns an arrow function as its output. Let's move on to the next question. Can arrow functions be used as methods in an object? This is the correct way to answer this question. Yes, arrow functions can be used as methods in an object. However, they should be used with caution as the this keyword will not refer to the object itself, but to the surrounding scope. Now, for the final question. What are the common use cases for arrow functions? The correct interview answer is: arrow functions are commonly used for array methods, event listeners, callbacks, and other functions that require shorter, more concise syntax. We've now come to the end of this video on arrow functions. We hope that you found it to be informative and valuable. Be sure to join us for the next video, where we'll take a closer look at JavaScript specials. Thank you for watching.